There is a state in America where the government has an official question, not a motto, not a slogan, a question. Walk into any restaurant in New Mexico and order food. Before the waiter leaves, they will ask you, red or green? That question has been the official state question since 1996. The answer determines what sauce goes on your plate. And that answer, the one you give without thinking if you grew up here, the one that confuses you if you didn't, is the entry point to the oldest, most fiercely original food culture in the United States. New Mexico has been cooking longer than the United States has existed. Santa Fe was founded in 1610. That is 166 years before the Declaration of Independence. The food here was not invented in a test kitchen. It evolved over 400 years at the intersection of Pueblo people, Spanish colonists, and Mexican culture, in a landscape so extreme that only certain things grow. And those things grow with a ferocity and flavor that nothing grown somewhere more comfortable can replicate. The red chile and the green chile are the same pepper. This is the first thing to understand. The difference between red and green chile in New Mexico is time. A green chile is harvested unripe. A red chile is the same pepper left on the plant until it fully matures and dries. Green is bright, grassy, smoky, mildly sweet. Red is earthier, deeper, more complex, with a heat that builds slowly instead of arriving all at once. The modern New Mexico chile was shaped by one man. Fabian Garcia was a horticulturist at what is now New Mexico State University who spent decades in the late 1800s and early 1900s selectively breeding Pueblo landrace chili peppers into standardized cultivars that could be grown commercially. In 1894, he began the work. The result, the New Mexico No. 9 chile, became the foundation of an entire industry and an entire cuisine. In 1996, New Mexico designated red or green as its official state question. It is the only state in America with an official question. There is a third answer. Say Christmas, and you get both sauces on the same plate. Locals use it. Tourists discover it and feel unreasonably proud of themselves. The green is associated with the South, particularly the Hatch Valley. The red is associated with the North, particularly the villages around Taos and Chimayo. The village of Hatch, New Mexico, has a population of approximately 1,600 people. It calls itself the chili capital of the world. It is not wrong. The Hatch Valley runs along the Rio Grande in southern New Mexico, about 40 miles of valley floor at 4,000 feet elevation, with alkaline soil, intense sun, warm days, and cold nights. This specific combination of climate and geology produces a green chile that cannot be replicated anywhere else. Like champagne or Vidalia onions, Hatch chile is a geographic designation. In 2012, the name was legally trademarked, meaning only chilies grown in the Hatch Valley can carry the name. Every August and September, the chili roasters come out. Propane-powered wire mesh drums tumbling over open flame, set up in parking lots and roadside stands across New Mexico. The smell of roasting Hatch chili, smoky, slightly sweet, unmistakably peppery, drifts across entire neighborhoods. It is the official aroma of the New Mexico autumn. Families buy chilies by the burlap sack, roast them on the spot, peel them in communal kitchen sessions, and freeze them in portions that will last the entire year. The Hatch Chili Festival, held every Labor Day weekend since 1971, draws 30,000 visitors to a town of 1,600. There are chili eating contests using triple hot varieties. There are ristra making classes. The ristra is the string of dried red chilies hung from New Mexican doorways and storefronts, simultaneously decorative and functional. There is roasted chile on everything. New Mexico's answer to the question, what do you put on a burger, is green chili and cheese. The entire thing. A green chili cheeseburger is a beef patty topped with roasted, peeled, chopped, or whole Hatch green chili and melted cheese, usually American or cheddar, served on a bun. The chili is not a condiment. It is a topping of equal prominence to the meat. The ratio of chili to beef is a matter of personal conviction in New Mexico, and restaurants are judged on where they land. New Mexico Magazine has run the Green Chili Cheeseburger Trail since 2009, an annual competition for the best version in the state. The 2009 winner was the Owl Bar and Cafe in San Antonio, New Mexico. a town with a population of 150 located next to a former nuclear test site, serving a burger that people drive 4 hours to eat. The Owl Bar has been open since the Manhattan Project scientists needed somewhere to drink. The green chili cheeseburger they serve has not changed. McDonald's New Mexico locations serve green chili on their burgers. So does Applebee's. So does Domino's. Every national chain operating in New Mexico eventually bows to local demand. This is how strong the green chili cheeseburger culture is. This is the dish that most people outside New Mexico have never heard of, and that almost no New Mexican would consider optional. Carne adovada is pork, typically pork shoulder cut into large chunks, marinated for 24 hours or longer in a sauce made from red chili pods that have been toasted, rehydrated, blended with garlic, oregano, and cumin, and strained into a thick, brick-red paste. The pork absorbs the chili completely. Then it is slow cooked until the meat is falling apart and the sauce has reduced into something that coats everything it touches. This is not a spicy dish in the way that hot sauce is spicy. The heat in carne adovada is deep and cumulative, building through the meal rather than hitting all at once. The red chile gives the pork an earthiness and complexity that no other cooking method achieves. There is a reason New Mexico uses dried red chilies for this dish rather than fresh. The drying concentrates every compound in the pepper, and the slow rehydration and toasting unlocks them in a way that fresh chili does not. Carne adovada appears on New Mexico breakfast plates, over eggs. It appears in burritos. You are sitting in a New Mexican restaurant. You have ordered your food. The meal arrives, and alongside it, without asking, comes a basket of sopaipillas. A sopapilla is a puffed fried bread, made from flour tortilla dough that is cut into squares or triangles and dropped into hot oil, where the interior steam immediately inflates the dough into a hollow golden pillow. The outside is crisp. The inside is almost entirely air. You tear a corner and squeeze honey inside. This is how sopaipillas are served in New Mexico, with honey as a bread course alongside the main meal rather than as a dessert. They are both food and utensil. You can use them to scoop chile, to push things around the plate to finish the sauce. And you can fill them with carne adovada or beans and smother them in chile and eat them as the main course in their own right. The sopapilla's ancestry runs through Spanish colonial cooking and Native American fry bread traditions. It is not Mexican. The version eaten in Mexico is different in shape, texture, and context. New Mexico's sopapilla is specifically New Mexican. It developed here in the same kitchens where carne adovada and posole developed, as part of the cuisine that could not have been made anywhere else. In New Mexico, posole is Christmas. Posole is a stew made from hominy, dried corn kernels that have been treated with an alkaline solution in a process called nixtamalization, which softens the hull, increases the nutritional value, and transforms the corn into something with a chewy, slightly earthy flavor that nothing else quite replicates. The kernels are boiled slowly until they swell and bloom open like flowers. Then pork, red chili, garlic, and oregano are added. The whole thing simmers for hours. The nixtamalization process that makes posole possible was developed by indigenous peoples in Mesoamerica thousands of years ago. It is one of the most important food innovations in human history. Without it, corn-dependent populations would suffer from pellagra, a niacin deficiency disease. The process was here before the Spanish arrived, before New Mexico was named, before anyone called this place the land of enchantment. New Mexican families make posole on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. It is not negotiable. It appears at New Year's. It is the dish that people who move away from New Mexico miss first, and most specifically, because the combination of that particular hominy, that particular red chili, that particular slow cooking method, and that particular knowledge passed down through families, produces something that a recipe alone cannot recreate. In 1989, New Mexico became the first state in America to designate an official state cookie. Other states had state birds, state trees, state flowers. New Mexico looked at all of that and added a state cookie. This tells you something about where New Mexico's priorities are. The bizcochito, or bizcochito, the spelling debate was settled in the legislation but continues informally, is a small, crisp, shortbread-like cookie made with lard, flour, sugar, anise seeds, and a splash of brandy, rolled in cinnamon sugar before baking. The anise gives it a flavor unlike any other American cookie. Slightly herbal, faintly licorice-like, savory in a way that cookie dough usually is not. The lard gives it a texture that butter cannot replicate, crisp at the edge, tender at the center, dissolving in the mouth rather than chewing. Spanish colonists brought the recipe from Spain in the 16th century, where similar cookies were called mantecados. Over 400 years in New Mexico kitchens, the recipe absorbed local flavors, more anise, the brandy, the specific spice proportions that each family guards as personal property. Every New Mexican family has a bizcochito recipe. Every New Mexican family believes their version is the correct one. Every New Mexican family is right. They are made for Christmas, for weddings, for baptisms, for celebrations of every kind. In December, according to one estimate, bizcochitos comprise approximately 30% of the diet of the average New Mexican. That number is not verifiable. It also seems entirely plausible. Blue corn grew in New Mexico when the Spanish arrived in the 16th century. The Pueblo people had been cultivating it for centuries. It was already here. Blue corn is a distinct variety of corn with a bluish-gray color and a nuttier, slightly earthier flavor than yellow or white corn. In New Mexico, it is ground into blue cornmeal and used for tortillas, enchiladas, atole, a warm drink made from cornmeal, and blue corn chips, which are the reason the blue corn tortilla chip exists on grocery shelves across America today. Pueblo women made piqui bread from ground blue corn mixed with ash, baked paper-thin on a hot stone, a technique that predates European contact by centuries. The blue corn tortilla, denser and more flavorful than a yellow corn tortilla, became the foundation of New Mexico's stacked enchilada tradition. A New Mexican enchilada is not rolled, it is stacked. 3 flat tortillas layered with filling and sauce, built upward rather than wrapped, topped with a fried egg. The architecture is different because the tradition is different because the people are different. There is a tree in New Mexico that is slow. So slow that a pinon tree takes 25 years to produce its first significant crop of nuts. So slow that trees harvested today were producing for the grandparents of the people picking them. So slow that the pinon forests of New Mexico operate on a time scale that has nothing to do with commerce. The pinon nut, the seed of the Colorado pinon pine, a tree native to the American Southwest, is smaller than an Italian pine nut, with a richer, more buttery flavor and a thin shell that cracks under thumbnail pressure. New Mexicans roast them in the shell and eat them by the handful. They are sold in paper bags at roadside stands, at gas stations, at markets. A bag of warm roasted pinon is the New Mexico road trip snack. Pinon appears in New Mexican cooking in ways that Texans and Californians have not fully discovered. Pinon coffee, dark roast beans with the nutty flavor of pinon, added during roasting, is a regional obsession. New Mexico Pinon coffee, founded in Albuquerque, now ships nationally. Pinon brittle, pinon in bizcochitos, pinon in chocolate. The nut is woven through the cuisine in the way that pecans are woven through Southern cooking. Not as an ingredient, but as a flavor that defines the region. New Mexico doesn't explain itself. It has been here longer than the country that eventually claimed it. It was cooking carne adovada and posole and Sopaipillas, while the United States was still 3 separate colonial zones with different flags. It designated an official state cookie before anyone else thought to have one. Its official question is about sauce. The cuisine here did not come from immigration waves or restaurant trends or celebrity chefs. It came from 400 years of isolation in a landscape that does not forgive error. From Pueblo people who had mastered the land for centuries before the Spanish arrived. From Spanish colonists who brought their own traditions and watched them fuse with what was already here. From Mexican influence that crossed the border and stayed. From the specific geology of the Hatch Valley and the specific altitude of Santa Fe, and the specific alkaline soil that makes the chile grow the way it does. You can buy Hatch green chile outside New Mexico. You can make carne adovada from a recipe. You can find bizcochitos in specialty stores. None of it is the same. The food belongs to a place, and the place is not transferable. Not every state has an official question about sauce. Not every state invented its state cookie 400 years before it thought to make it official. Not every state has a pepper so tied to its identity that the state constitution spells out how to write its name.